You know that feeling when you're at the grocery store, staring at the dessert aisle, trying to stretch your budget but still satisfy that sweet tooth. We've all been there. But here's the truth nobody talks about. Some cheap desserts are cheap for a reason, and they'll leave you feeling disappointed and still craving something better. On the flip side, there are a few budget-friendly gems that'll make you wonder why you ever spent more. I've spent years testing budget desserts, sometimes out of necessity and sometimes out of pure curiosity, and I'm here to save you from the mistakes I've made. Today, I'm breaking down exactly which bargain desserts to skip and which ones are secretly worth every penny. Trust me, by the end of this, you'll know exactly what to grab and what to leave on the shelf. 1. Let's start with the desserts that seem like a great deal until you actually taste them. Number 1, those individually wrapped snack cakes you see for $1 or $2. The ones with the bright packaging and promises of cream-filled goodness. Most of them taste like sweetened cardboard with a chemical aftertaste that lingers way too long. The cake is usually dry and dense, almost crumbly, and it somehow manages to stick to the roof of your mouth while also being completely devoid of moisture. The filling tastes artificial, like someone mixed corn syrup with vanilla extract and called it a day. And don't even get me started on the chocolate versions where the chocolate coating tastes more like brown wax than actual cocoa. You're left wondering if you actually enjoyed it or just ate it because it was there and you already spent the money. The worst part is that you'll still be hungry afterwards because these things have zero satiety factor. They're just empty calories wrapped in nostalgia and false promises. Your money is better spent elsewhere. Maybe on ingredients to make your own treats or on one really good quality dessert that'll actually satisfy you. Number 2. Store-brand ice cream sandwiches are another trap that catches so many budget-conscious shoppers. They're usually half the price of name brands, sometimes even less during sales. But there's a reason for that massive price difference. The cookies are often rock hard when frozen, requiring you to wait several minutes before you can even bite into them without risking a dental emergency. But if you wait too long, they turn to complete mush within seconds, falling apart in your hands and creating a sticky mess. The ice cream itself has that icy, crystallized texture that tells you it's seen better days. Probably been thawed and refrozen multiple times during transport and storage. Plus, the flavor is so weak you're basically eating frozen milk with a hint of vanilla suggestion rather than actual vanilla flavor. There's no richness, no creaminess, just cold sweetness that doesn't deliver on the promise of a real ice cream sandwich. The ratio is usually off too, with way too much cookie and not enough ice cream, or vice versa. For just $1 or $2 more, you can get something that actually tastes like dessert and won't leave you feeling like you wasted your money and your calorie budget on something mediocre. Number 3, pre-made pudding cups in those 4-packs might seem convenient and affordable, especially when they're on sale, but they're loaded with artificial ingredients and have this weird, slimy texture that just doesn't feel right in your mouth. The chocolate tastes like someone described chocolate to an alien who then tried to recreate it using only chemical compounds. Available at a laboratory supply store. It's sweet, sure, but there's no depth, no real cocoa flavor, just brown sweetness with a vaguely chocolatish aftertaste. The vanilla is even worse, tasting more like artificial vanilla flavoring than anything resembling real vanilla beans, or even decent vanilla extract. And the texture, oh the texture, it's like eating flavored slime. It's too thick to be enjoyable but too thin to feel substantial. There's also this weird film that forms on top if you don't eat it immediately after opening, which is just unappetizing. If you're craving pudding, spending 5 minutes making it from a box mix will give you something infinitely better for almost the same price. You'll get real flavor, better texture, and the satisfaction of having made something yourself. Number 4. Frozen sheet cakes from the grocery store bakery section are a tough one because they look absolutely amazing behind that plastic dome. The frosting is piled high, often decorated with colorful designs or seasonal themes, and the price seems unbeatable for the size. But once you defrost it and dig in, you realize you've been fooled by appearances. The frosting is pure shortening and sugar with artificial flavoring, leaving a greasy coating on the roof of your mouth that no amount of water can wash away. It's cloyingly sweet without any complexity. No butter flavor, no cream cheese temps, just pure sweetness with a chemical undertone. The cake itself is dry enough to absorb all the moisture in your mouth instantly, making you reach for a drink after every bite. It's also usually very dense rather than light and fluffy, sitting heavy in your stomach. These cakes are designed to look good and last long in the freezer, not to taste good or provide an enjoyable eating experience. The ingredients list reads like a chemistry experiment with things you can't pronounce and definitely wouldn't have in your home kitchen. Even a box mix cake you make at home will blow this out of the water in terms of taste, texture, and overall satisfaction. Number 5. Those colorful boxed cookie assortments with different flavors are incredibly tempting when you see them on sale, especially around holidays when they come in festive tins. The packaging promises variety with chocolate cookies, vanilla cookies, strawberry cookies, lemon cookies, and more. But here's the dirty secret. Every single cookie tastes exactly the same regardless of whether it's supposed to be chocolate, vanilla, or strawberry. They're hard and crunchy in an unpleasant way. Not the satisfying crunch of a good cookie, but the hard texture of something that's been sitting on a shelf for months. They're overly sweet with zero complexity of flavor, no butter richness, no real chocolate or fruit or vanilla notes, just generic sweetness with food coloring. The chocolate ones might have a hint of cocoa powder, but it's so faint you'd miss it if you weren't looking for it. You're essentially paying for variety that doesn't exist. Fooled by different colored dough into thinking you're getting different flavors. A single package of decent cookies will give you more satisfaction than an entire box of these. 6:6. Cheap chocolate bars from unknown brands are another disappointment waiting to happen, and I've fallen for this trap more times than I'd like to admit. You'll see them at checkout counters or dollar stores, promising milk chocolate or dark chocolate at a fraction of the cost of recognized brands. The packaging might even look fancy, with gold foil or elegant designs that suggest quality. But the moment you bite in, you realize it's mostly wax and sugar with just enough cocoa to legally call it chocolate according to minimum standards. It doesn't melt properly in your mouth like real chocolate should. Instead, it kind of crumbles and leaves chunks that you have to chew. Real chocolate melts at body temperature, creating that smooth, luxurious mouthfeel we all love. This stuff just sits there, grainy and unpleasant. It has a weird coating that sticks to your teeth and the roof of your mouth. And the aftertaste is slightly bitter, but not in the sophisticated way that good dark chocolate is bitter. Even the most budget-conscious chocolate lover deserves better than this. 7:7. Artificially flavored fruit snacks marketed as desserts are basically expensive gummy candy with vitamins thrown in to make parents feel less guilty about giving them to their kids. But let's be real about what these actually are. They don't taste like fruit at all. If you've ever eaten a real strawberry or real orange or real grape, you know these taste nothing like the fruits they claim to represent. They taste like concentrated sugar with artificial flavoring that vaguely reminds you of fruit in the same way a distant memory reminds you of childhood. They're also incredibly sticky, getting stuck in your teeth and creating a breeding ground for cavities. They don't satisfy a dessert craving because they're not rich or indulgent enough, but they're too sweet and artificial to be a healthy snack. You're stuck in this weird middle ground where you've consumed a bunch of sugar and calories, but don't feel like you actually had a treat, and they're way overpriced for what you're getting, which is essentially shaped corn syrup. Number 8. Those mini pies or fruit pies in the vending machine or convenience store section need to be avoided at all costs. And I mean this with every fiber of my being. These are the kinds of desserts that make you lose faith in humanity's ability to create edible food. The crust is either rock solid, requiring serious jaw strength to bite through, or it's soggy and falls apart into a paste-like consistency that's deeply unpleasant. There's no flaky, buttery goodness here, just a flour-based shell that exists solely to contain the filling. And speaking of the filling, it tastes like it came straight from a chemistry lab. The apple filling has maybe 3 molecules of actual apple in it. The rest is thickened corn syrup with artificial apple flavoring and enough cinnamon to make you cough. The cherry version is even worse, tasting like cough syrup mixed with red food dye. The texture is gluey and weird, and you can feel it coating your mouth and throat as you swallow. These pies also have an insane amount of sugar and fat, sitting heavy in your stomach like regret personified. Now let's talk about the surprising winners. The cheap desserts that actually deliver on their promises and make you happy you saved money. Number 1 on the good list, regular vanilla ice cream sandwiches from established brands like the classic rectangular ones we all grew up with are consistently good and reliably satisfying. Yes, they're simple and they're not trying to be fancy or gourmet, but there's something absolutely perfect about that combination of soft chocolate wafer cookies and creamy vanilla ice cream. The cookies have just the right amount of chew without being tough, and they absorb a little bit of the melting ice cream, which creates this amazing texture. The vanilla ice cream is straightforward, not trying to be Madagascar bourbon vanilla or Tahitian vanilla, just good, honest vanilla that tastes clean and sweet and creamy. They're usually under $3 or $4 for a box of 6 or 12, making them an incredibly economical treat that the whole family can enjoy. They taste exactly like you remember from childhood. From birthday parties and hot summer days and late night snacks, there's comfort in that consistency and familiarity. They satisfy that ice cream craving without breaking the bank, and they're portion controlled so you're not tempted to eat an entire pint of ice cream in one sitting. Number 2. Angel Food Cake is criminally underrated as a budget dessert, and I'm on a mission to change that. You can get a whole cake, and I mean a substantial cake that could serve 8 to 10 people, for around $4 or $5 at most grocery stores, and it's actually delicious. Not just acceptable for the price, but genuinely enjoyable. The texture is light and fluffy and almost cloud-like, with a delicate crumb that melts on your tongue. It's not overly sweet, which is actually a huge advantage because it means you can eat a decent slice without feeling sick from sugar overload. The subtle sweetness and the hint of vanilla make it incredibly versatile. You can dress it up with fresh fruit and whipped cream for an elegant dessert that looks like you spent way more money and effort than you did. You can toast slices and serve them with ice cream. You can make a trifle by layering it with pudding and fruit. Or you can just eat it plain, enjoying the simple pleasure of a well-made cake. It feels fancy even though it's affordable, giving you that sense of treating yourself without the guilt of overspending. Number 3. The final, surprisingly good pick is graham crackers with frosting. And I know this sounds too simple to be satisfying, but hear me out on this one. This is one of those combinations that's greater than the sum of its parts, creating something that's actually craveable and delicious. A box of graham crackers costs about $3 and contains multiple sleeves with dozens of crackers. A container of frosting is another $2 or $3 depending on the brand and flavor you choose. With these two simple ingredients, you can make dozens of these little sandwich treats that everyone will love. The concept is simple. Spread frosting on one graham cracker, top with another, and you've got a sweet treat that hits all the right notes. Kids absolutely love them because they're sweet and fun to assemble and eat. But here's the secret. Adults secretly love them just as much. There's something about that honey graham flavor combined with sweet frosting that just works on a fundamental level. The slight saltiness of the cracker balances the sweetness of the frosting. You can experiment with different frosting flavors too. Chocolate frosting with graham crackers tastes like a deconstructed s'more. Vanilla frosting is classic and reliable, and cream cheese frosting adds sophistication. The bottom line is this: cheap doesn't always mean bad, and expensive doesn't guarantee quality. I've had $5 desserts that were disappointing and $2 desserts that were absolutely delightful. The key is knowing what to look for and being willing to learn from experience. Pay attention to what you're actually enjoying versus what you're eating just because you bought it, and feel obligated to finish it. Life's too short to eat bad desserts, even cheap ones. Your dessert budget will stretch further when you skip the disappointing stuff and stick with the simple pleasures that actually deliver on taste and satisfaction. Trust your instincts when shopping. If something looks too good to be true price-wise, it probably is. Read those ingredient labels. If you can't pronounce most of the ingredients, or if sugar is the first ingredient, that's usually a red flag. And remember that sometimes the best treats are the ones that have been around forever for a good reason.